The Masked Guests. You think being alpha was all glory? It was a lot of running and a lot fewer responsibilities than the version I've got now. I'm trouble. Used to be the neighborhood's unshakable spine. Now I'm mostly a professional eye roller and resident insurance policy for the females of the house. Supreme, my mom, who runs everything like a tiny CEO. Sis, Charlie, who is sneaky as a fox. And my other sister, Sadie, the one you can't bluff. And of course, my dad, the big man, who believes he's the house, but is really just the GPS. Things were fine, cozy routine. Then the house started whispering to me. Cooper, I told him later that night after I'd gone out with the big man and became intimately acquainted with the sewer smell. Don't meditate, smell. Smell is the compass of the soul, he said. He sat there all folded up like a towel. Also, hello, I might have been sitting in a sunbeam earlier. I told him things in plain dog language, short, efficient. There's movement, front door, back window, sewers, cars smelling of something new. Not just raccoon that happens, Coop. Organized. He widened his eyes in that way that makes you want to hand him a globe and tell him to spin. Organized? Like a stink conspiracy? Stink conspiracy, I said. Exactly. Earlier that walk, I nearly pulled Mom down the street like a submarine on a leash. I insisted on the other side of the street, smelled something, and pulled like it had insulted my honor. She laughed until she cried, and I was half proud and half irritated. Once we were back, I insisted that we come in quick and not lag because the sense in my gut said that we should. The big man was on a string of exasperated commands when I got loose later. Get out of there. Sit, Treble. What's going on with you tonight? He sounded like he'd been asking himself that for decades. I went back inside and sat like a general after a long march. I told Cooper everything. He listened like a weird small prophet as usual. You'll think it's raccoons? He eventually said, eyes turning mystical. Raccoons have masks. That means they might be undercover monks. Stop, I said. Cooper, we have a problem. If it's a raccoon family, fine. If it's a gang, not fine. We'll form a circle, he offered. We'll chant. No chanting, I said. Chanting gets the girls up at 3 a.m., and then Sadie lectures us about sound discipline. So we did the sensible thing, which for me means a stakeout. I went to the door like I used to go into a room and claim it. Every sense was ready. No theatrical woof. At first, just a steady low rumble in my chest, the kind that says, I am here. This house is mine. There was a sound, soft shuffles like someone rearranging our porch furniture. Then a triumphant little purr that could only mean one thing. They had found the throw pillows. I stepped out onto the porch, light above, moon hitting the roof like someone tapping a metronome. And there they were. Not a gang in the sense I'd expected. No leather jackets. Just raccoons. But not the lean, tentative kind. These were the kind that ate the whole family style, and then went back for dessert. Rounded bellies, confident stances, a mother with a nap blanket draped over a chair like she owned the upholstery store. The leader, massive, jam-smeared cheek, eyes like 2 coins, stared at me like he'd been appointed the new mayor. Another raccoon inspected the mailbox for structural integrity. One tried on the welcome mat like it was his throne. My guard stayed up. They were raccoons. Raccoons are clever, but they weren't a gang. They were a family who had the audacity to be proud of their new residents. You can't just move in, I said, because politeness is core to the social contract. We have rules. They looked at me as if I'd said something quaint. The big one hopped down, waddled over me with the kind of swagger I used to have at 15, and sniffed my paws. Then, for reasons I still can't fully verbalize, he offered me a piece of half-soggy bread he'd pried from the trash, almost like a peace offering. Not offensive, quite thoughtful. Cooper, being Cooper, bounced up. Hello, we're in communal vibration house, he declared to the raccoons like he'd grown into a tiny televangelist. Welcome to the Circle of Light. The mama raccoon yawned theatrically and flopped onto the porch swing. One of the smaller ones dragged a half-rotten houseplant closer and arranged it like a centerfold decoration. They made a mess of our cushions. They played loud, proud music that sounded like clanking cans. Loud but not threatening, celebratory. I watched them, suspicion slowly folding into something that resembled amusement. They were obnoxious, loud, and certain. They loved this house, not in a threatening way, more like an extended family turning up to stay. "You're not a gang," I told Cooper later when the raccoons had staged a trash bag parade and left a carefully repositioned garden gnome as their calling card. "You're a nuisance, but harmless." "Love can be noisy," Cooper insisted. "They are passionate about home." I did what an old dog does. I accepted, not with a song and a happy grin, but with a slow, decisive nod, because the girls upstairs need peace more than drama, because a big raccoon with a jam-smeared whisker is less trouble than a threat. We slept with one ear up and one ear down. The raccoons, for their part, claimed the porch as if it were an annex of the house. They left gifts, half of a shoe, a succulent knot in a semicircle, a sock with a hole artfully chewed. When the girls noticed in the morning, they laughed, which is the best possible thing. Mom staged a small coronation for the raccoons because, why not? Charlie took pictures. Sadie brought coffee. The big man found his missing garden glove in the raccoon nest and begrudgingly admitted it looked like they'd made themselves at home better than half the contractors he had hired. I told Cooper dry and simple, "Keep your meditation to yourself, but thanks for the heads up." He looked at me with that pie-eyed wonder and wagged like I'd just solved the world's oldest riddle. "See?" he said. "Enlightenment." I grunted. I'll take big, obnoxious raccoons in love with our house over a real nocturnal gang any day. They make noise, they steal socks, they chew through plants, but they don't bite, and if they ever get bold enough to bite our girls, I'll remind them who used to be alpha. For now, I'll let them have the porch. I'll guard the bedrooms. And if anyone asks later, I'll tell them I was suspicious. But I'll also tell them sometimes danger is just confidence in a fur coat.